Welcome to the Brian Wright Audio Experience, a podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs grow their business, make more money, and successfully navigate through the chaos of life. All while working, spending, and stressing less. And now your host. He's a husband, a father of two, an international business and life coach, and a trusted motivational speaker for some of the most respected companies in the world, such as Invisalign and many others. Brian Wright.
Hey everybody, welcome inside the broadcast booth to another edition of the Brian Wright Show. Hope everybody is doing great out there. Short one for you today, but powerful lesson that you have to, we talk so much about numbers on here, thinking differently, making sure that your mindset is innovative and you're looking at profit and overhead and experience and sales and everything in this new economy and this new consumer different culture. Just the list goes on and on to the things we talk about on here. And when I see stories that I'm going to talk about today, American Airlines has announced that they are getting rid of first class. They're going to significantly lessen it. Newer planes are going to be built. They're going to be oftentimes made without first class. They're going to start gutting out first class on a lot of their airplanes. And from an entrepreneur perspective, you look at this, and the reason, and they're doing it because they say people aren't buying the first class seats anymore. And you look at it from an entrepreneur's perspective, and you say, well, no shit. Of course they're not buying the first class tickets anymore. You continually jack up your fees, meanwhile reduce experience. And the lesson that I want to talk about today for all of you out there is prestige pricing. We've talked about that on there, that if you want to be the highest dollar in town, whether that be a business that you have that's in a local community or you sell online and you're a nationwide or global firm, if you want to go up in prices, there's a very specific recipe that you must buy into. Every dollar more expensive you go than somebody else that people can choose to spend their money with. The lesson today is American Airlines sits there, and it just cracks me up how the higher-ups can't figure this out on their own. But first class is supposed to offer a very unique experience. It's supposed to be professionally cooked food. It's supposed to have, obviously, an amazing seat. There has to be all kinds of experiences that come along with that, way above and beyond a bigger seat and etc. And the problem with it is it's not. You have a piece of crap experience now. A lot of the flight attendants are not hospitable. The quality of the food literally is for a baby. It's a TV dinner. And you're having fees that are jacked up. It's not like as the experience, the domestic airlines all suck now. Their experience has gone away for the replacement of profit, which is exactly how companies, your pursuit of profit is screwing your customer. This is a perfect example of it, that you can just see the higher ups with these airlines going, okay, well, if we remove this and we make the food a little bit lesser quality, that's going to save us, whatever, $50 a person that flies on our airplane. It equates to this much in savings. We increase our profit this much. We show the shareholders, boom, our stock price goes up. You can just see their head working. Nowhere in there, the same thing has happened with United Airlines, where the United Club used to be, especially when Continental ran it, but it used to be private, professional chef, amazing experience. The service was off the charts. It was quiet. There weren't 1,000 people in the line. It was prestigious. It was VIP. It made you want to fly United Airlines. Now when you go in there, it's a piece of crap. The food is average sometimes. Usually it's made for little kids. There's kids running around all over the place. There's 30 people in line to get in because they've turned it into this masses. Everybody can get in there if they have a credit card. It's just, in the prestige, totally gone. However, the pricing is still the same. It's not like they've made the pricing drop as the experience drops. Well, there's so many companies out there, so many things like the American Airlines lesson all of you can learn is that when the economy sucks or the economy is strong, if you are sitting there going, look, how do we charge more? How do we intentionally price our product above and beyond everybody else's? And how do we do so successfully? The answer is 100% of the time, always, is you make the experiences better than all of your competition. That's how you do it. What United should do is jack their prices way up for the United Club, right? But they should make the experiences professional, famous chefs, ridiculously trained staff inside their room, very small amount of people allowed as members. Their 1K and global service should have free access into that United Club. as being a frequent flyer and being that devoted to the airline. If they did it that way, more people would fly the airline, one, but two, you would have a retention rate that's much higher because of the prestige around it. That's also how you attract a very different type of clientele, is all these what your product is experiences. We've talked about it 1,000 times on this podcast, is that to sell more of your product, you must enhance the experience for your customer prior to them buying and after them buying. There's your recipe. Easier said than done, but there's your recipe. American Airlines, same way. They would have no problem selling first-class tickets in a bad economy or a great economy. They would have no problem with it whatsoever if the food was off the charts, if they hired and made the food from professional chefs. Well, Brian, it's on an airplane. How do you do it? There's a way. There's absolutely a way. Knowing food like I do, being a foodie, cooking like I do at the house, there's absolutely a way. You take United, I'm kind of banging on them right now. They weren't really the point today, but all these things come to your head whenever you do a podcast. And United used to serve these, and they were good. Warm nuts. It was a combination of almonds and cashews, and they would serve that up in first class. Boom, COVID hit. They got rid of it for no reason whatsoever other than a price savings, right? Well, now people are flying again, and they haven't installed it back into first class. Why? Well, I can already tell. The upper's like, yeah, that's an expense. No, it's not. It is an investment in your customer experience that gets people to remain loyal to you, so your turnover isn't as much, and you actually make more money because of it. But all of that is stuff you can't put your finger on paper on. So as they continue to make these ridiculous business decisions based on numbers on paper, these are the things all of you do so oftentimes with your businesses. You screw your customer because of the pursuit of profit. You take away things while wondering why you can't charge more for your product or your service. Because again, your product or service doesn't even have to be the best of my 5 options. It's the experience that has to be best. That allows you to charge more for your product. People will not buy in this economy with a new consumer that demands experience, but companies offer less of it than ever before. Consumers are not going to pay high dollar for your product, your service, if the experience behind it sucks. First class with Americans, a perfect example. Technically what you're paying for is to sit up front in a larger chair, right? But what you're really paying for, and the real investment that gets you to keep coming back and be devoted to American or whatever specific airline, is how you're made to feel along the way. For those of you who nickel and dime your employees, so when you call in as a customer, you've got to wait on hold forever because you think on paper that's saving you money. No, it's not. It's costing you money. Why? Because every time you take United, every time I call into the 1K or Global Services desk and have to wait on hold, it moves me just another inch closer to going, screw you, I'm not driving an hour both ways to the airport when I have Hobby 20 minutes from my house where I can hop on Southwest or connect using Delta, that wants to go through Atlanta every time they leave Houston because that's their big hub. But I'm driving an hour each way because my miles are with United, but every single time they take one more experience away, that gets me a little bit less loyal and a little closer to going, screw you, I'm not flying you anymore. And that's exactly what's happened to American Airlines in first class. Their first class is crap. There's absolutely no VIP experience. The food is trash. They've cut back on a ton of the amenities. So outside of a bigger chair, there's nothing left. There's no reason why you would pay money for that chair up in first class. None whatsoever. There's nothing that comes with it. So they've gone up in price, they've gone down in experience, and then sit there and wonder why nobody wants to buy it. And their solution is well, people just don't want it. We're going to get rid of it on our airplanes. No, that's not the solution. The solution is keep your prices high, but install all kinds of badass experiences that go away. Every time, everything happens up there, Your customer should go, wow, that is cool. That is amazing. That is exceptional. That is VIP. That is so cool. And that feeling has gone away from companies and what they offer consumers in this new economy. The most ironic thing about it, though, is that in this new economy, consumers demand experience. And if you don't give it to them, they're going to fight back. If you haven't listened to the podcast already, it was the second podcast that we actually ever did here in the Brian Wright Show, talking about the Harris Interactive study and how 90% of people surveyed in all industries said that they would choose and or remain with a business because of the quality of the customer service, the quality of the experience, over whether or not that company was any good at what they did. And it's proof of everything we talk about on here. You can raise your prices. You could be a tree service. Maybe you go and you cut down trees for people. You could be a lawn service. You could be a restaurant. You could be a lawyer, a plumber, a realtor, a tech firm. You could be a consultant, a business coach, whatever type of business or you have, an industry you have, a product and service you have, you can be the most expensive by far. But with that, not only do you have to be damn good, the experiences that technically have nothing to do with your product or service have to be exceptional. When your business is called, the receptionist has to be exceptional. Thank you so much for calling us today. It means the world to us. How can I help you? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Well, Mr. Wright, thank you so much for calling. I absolutely am going to help you with that. You know what? You're part of our family. We'll do anything to get you taken care of. Okay, I called a tree service. Oh, thank you, Mr. Wright, for calling. You know, our lawn service is exceptional. We use the best lawnmowers in the business. Gabriel, and I use that name because that's ours here at the house. You know, Gabriel's been doing this 20 years. He puts a lot of time and care into this. You've called the right place. Let me get you over to the right person. Boom. There's a little verbiage that if any of you ever heard any of it on any phone call when you called anybody, no. And this is exactly why the Wright Chat customers do so well, because the receptionist leaves such a unique image in the mind of the caller that this caller's going, I already know what this organization's all about. I'm in. I'm going to buy, which is the halo effect, like I mentioned previously, and that we're going to have more podcasts in the future. It is one of, if not the most important psychological terminologies you can fully grasp and get implemented onto the front end of your business, because it all goes into the power of persuasion. How do you psychologically prepare people for your sale prior to your actual sales pitch? And if you can imagine everything involved in your organization prior to you pitching them, right? Your culture, your online marketing, how the phone call goes, the initial contact with your business, to what happens after you hang up and the time you actually have them show up to your business, or you come to their doors if you're a business that does that, or you meet with them via Zoom or your sales call, whatever it is. All more powerful than what happens after that. You've got to leave an image in people's mind that says this is an experience organization. Because remember, like I taught you on the last podcast, you are not a lawyer, you are not a web designer, you're not a tech firm, you're not a lawn company, you're not a plumber, you're not a real estate agent. You're a hospitality experience expert company. That's what you sell. Everything else is just an oh, by the way thing, especially if you're a commodity. That's the mindset shift that has to happen. And then if you be a company that wants to charge way more than everybody else, all of these things matter even more. And that's why your business better damn well do it, because that's how you stick out inside your doors. The things that are going on inside your doors. Doesn't matter what you sell. What I just talked about on there is edification, value building. There is 17 psychological terminologies I just built into that short amount of phone call verbiage that no companies out there use. So when you call American Airlines, United Airlines, when you call your business, how do your people sound? How passionate are they? How much do they care? How much empathy do they have? Value building, edification, communication, verbiage skills. And I can tell you, if you don't work on it consistently, they don't have any. Unless they just happen to be the person that's nice and driven by themselves. Then at least you have the nice part down. Because the nice part you can't teach. Now, you can hurt it if you have a bad culture, as you've heard me talk about this before. If you ever wondered as a business owner, wow, why my people aren't happy? Well, it's because your culture sucks. That's why. It's not an environment that they enjoy showing up to. They don't feel self-rewarded. And that's a topic for another time. Really, inevitably today is how you can take this business mistake by American Airlines and ensure it doesn't happen to you. If you're sitting there going, people aren't buying my product, we have to lessen the prices. So many of you out there are thinking that, by the way, especially when the economy's not good. And it's the wrong move to make. What you should do, especially if you're commoditized, like in the airline industry. And a commodity, by the way, is always good for the end user. Why? Because it forces the companies that sell the products in a commoditized industry to improve. This is why no competition sucks, because if there's no competition, there's no incentive for your product to get better, your service to get better, your experience to get better, for people to constantly learn, et cetera, et cetera. So being a commodity is great for the end user, but it's tough as a business owner. Why? Because you have to get these concepts through your head. If you say, look, I want to charge more, then you've got to get your mind out of, I'm going to charge more, we're going to make our product great. Well, of course you should make your product great. But if you want to charge more, all the other experiences, phone call, when I walk through your door, how your online marketing is, how your people are trained, interact with every consumer via every touch point they have with your business, how you present money, how you follow up in the sales world. Let's say they came to you today, they said, let me think about it. And how are you following up with people? How's your YouTube station filled with amazing content, with education, with fun stuff, with innovative stuff, with educational stuff? All of these things have nothing to do with your product or service, but have everything to do with whether or not someone's going to buy it or not, and at higher dollar. Don't make the mistakes that the higher-ups in companies constantly make by looking at the data sheet and making your decision based off of that, because that data sheet is not telling you the real story. Like American Airlines thought about for a while just lowering their first-class prices, right? Well, that works, and all of you should lower your product or services out there to make more sales if your experience sucks. Like if you don't want to spend any time training the receptionist, no time on your new customer experience, no time on your existing customer experience, no time training your salespeople on all the skill sets, communication, verbiage, presentation, all the things we teach, all the things when people hire me personally to come into their business that we teach. If you don't want to spend time on that, the only choice you have left is to cheapen your product. That's it. And you know what? You're going to attract that customer that wants a cheap price, by the way. You know, you can take this for an example. You know, if you take a Ritz-Carlton type customer, no Ritz-Carlton customer is going around talking about the Ritz, talking about their pricing. Nobody. They talk about experience, the way they were treated, how they were made, how they felt, how the emotional buy-in, the know, like, trust, all the psychological terminologies we talk about. That's what they talk about when they talk about the Ritz. Walt Disney, same way. So what happens is that because they're talking about that to other people, then other people who want to feel that way then call the Ritz. Walt Disney, those are two examples of so many others out there I could give. No one's going, hey, Ritz has got a cheap price, go, right? They don't talk that way. But if you're the business that refuses to install these experiences, the only other thing people have to go on is your product. And your product has to be so insanely exceptional, and people understand that's exceptional. Those are two different things, a podcast in itself. That's the only way you can go, I'm going to try to increase my price. But if you're a commodity and you're again, all the companies that I mention on here, if you go down in price, you're screwed because now you're doing exactly what everyone else is doing and you still don't have experience. Experience sells. If you want to sell first-class tickets, and you want to jack up the price, you better have an experience that it's insane, and then people will do it. You'll fill up that first class American Airlines. Same way with all of you out there. You'll fill up your seats. You'll sell your product. You'll sell your service if the experiences around it are kick ass. I wanted to do this podcast today to follow up with podcast number 2 that we did about that Harris Interactive study, because this is a perfect real-life example on how you can apply to your mindset shift, everybody. You've got to wrap your head around the biggest concept that we teach, because if you do, you will skyrocket your growth unlike ever before. Hey, everybody over there in the YouTube station, shout out to you. Ortho5, got the Ortho5 hat on. It's a company I speak for in orthodontics, so shout out to all the Ortho5 folks over there. Hey, everybody, thanks for your loyal following. Really appreciate it if you hop online, give this podcast a 5-star review. Looking forward to, I got invited to speak at the LA Marketing Expo in March. Looking forward to that. We got some big time. Tony Robbins is a sponsor there, so it's going to be a really good event. I have 6 one-hour workshops, actually, 6 one-hour masterclasses they gave me, which is great. It's really cool. It's a 2-day event. I believe we're going to go 3 one day, 3 the next. And baby, we are going to install experiences into your business. Make sure you come to that event. Make sure you sign up for my masterclass. We are going to install some unbelievable experiences from A to Z that's going to show you and teach you how to increase your sales, be able to grow and increase your pricing, increase your profit without screwing your customer. See, this is a difference. There's a way to increase profit without screwing your customer. How do you do it? You raise your fees, you install badass experiences, and if you do that, you're going to sell more, you're going to make more, and people are going to refer to you the type of customer you want, which is what I was getting at a minute ago. What you don't want is people buying your product because they think it's a cheap price. Because here's what they do. If you remember a little bit ago, I gave the example of how a Ritz-Carlton type customer, which applies to every business in the world, by the way, how they talk about the Ritz. See, that's what you want people talking about you. Boy, they amaze me on the call. Susie, their receptionist, was like unbelievably trained. And by the way, everybody, if you stick out on the phone call, you win. I have a podcast upcoming about the halo effect that talks all about that. Your receptionist is your ultimate sales machine, especially if you're in a commoditized environment. It sets the stage for everything. And a big reason also it sets the stage for everything. If you called 1,000 businesses, 999% of the people on the phone, or 999 out of 1,000 on the phone, they suck. Now, some of them are going to be nice, but they still don't make you stand out. You want people talking about the phone call. What happened after they hung up before the time they had their first sales call or showed up to your business, or you showed up to their house for a consultation? Maybe you install wine cellars. Maybe you remodel kitchens. All of these interactions that have nothing to do with your product or your service is what people buy, and you want them talking about those things. And oh, by the way, they're awesome at what they do. That's how you charge, or that's how you charge more. That's how you create an organic referral stream of people that want more experience and are willing to pay high dollar for it, versus the people that buy your product because it's cheap and then go tell other people, hey, Joe, yeah, I use this kitchen remodeling company, and boy, they're cheap price, man. Like, they gave me a good deal. Go. It attracts a totally different type of customer. And neither are bad. You just have to define, do you want to be the cheapest of my 5 options as I'm shopping around? If you do, that's a very different type of business model than what we teach on here, because it requires more customers, more chaos, usually less profit, more marketing, because you have to churn and burn. The only way you're really making money is just having tons of customers. We want you to shift your mindset to where you have less customers, more attention on those customers. Therefore, you're going to get better retention. You're going to get more referrals, charge a higher dollar, and blow them away with all the non-product or service experiences that come along with it, that you can create this wow factor. If you want to be that business, this is why this podcast is designed and dedicated to you, your team, and your family members. Because that is how you will win in this new economy. Overlook what a lot of these corporate mindsets are doing. It will destroy your small, medium, and large business. You have to think like an entrepreneur. You've got to think like a Shark Tank as an example. And I've got a new one coming up, by the way, about what Mark Cuban leaving Shark Tank really means for the future success of your business. It's going to be a good spin on that. Maybe the next one, but definitely in the next few. So hopefully you take this lesson. It was a good piggyback off the last one we did. Hopefully you take this lesson to heart. The next podcast that's coming is going to be, and I talked about this last podcast, is going to be the difference between hospitality and 5-star customer service, and why you must know the true definition of customer service in order to maximize your success with this new consumer. It'll be a great lesson for you to all, because it is a big-time misunderstood terminology inside businesses. Hope you enjoyed today. Thanks for your loyal following, everybody. Again, hey, YouTube watchers out there, please write us a 5-star review. Show up to the event in March. Can't wait for that. Can't wait to see everybody. Again, reach out, brianwrightshow.com. You can book me to come in to speak to your organization or at one of your events. You can hire me personally to come in and consult with your business to help it grow. Look forward to many more future podcasts, everybody. Have a great one. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.